All right, so I'm here talking to Karla. She's from Denver, Colorado, and we've been working together for about a year now. And I would love to hear, and I'm sure other people would love to hear, Karla, why you garden, because you live in the mountains, and a lot of people in the mountains have a bunch of challenges growing. So it's not the easiest place to grow food. So I'm curious why you grow your food.
Oh, sure thing. Well, Stacy, thanks so much for chatting with me today. I've actually been gardening. I'm 61, and I've been gardening probably most of my adult life. And my my results have been, some years great, and other years, not so much. And I've owned my current house since 1990, and I put in a garden that year. When I moved in, purchased a home, I put in a small raised bed then.
That's
And I'm
awesome.
building it since then. So I've built all my raised beds, put in all my fruit trees, put in all my perennial beds. For me, given the job I have working in behavioral health, the garden connects me to the earth, and it grounds me and centers me. And it's a place that I can go if I'm stressed out, if I'm anxious, if I'm, really tired. Because some days I'm really tired. And in the summertime, it's the best thing. I get done with a really long workday, go out and I lay in my dirt. It's like it like re-energizes me, and bringing me back together.
What's so interesting about that is, so I know I've heard that you're a nurse before, but I didn't hear a little bit about what you do every day at work. What's interesting to me is that a lot of people, they come home from a busy day and they think they don't have time to garden. And for you, it's kind of the reverse. So can you say a little bit more about that? So
Sure.
you're basically getting energized by the garden.
Sure. Yeah, and that's, I have some new garden goals for 2018. And one of them is that I'm going to bring in even more color, more fragrance, more flowers, and more herbs that bloom. Because at the end of a long day, what I like to do is go out into my garden, wander around my garden paths, kind of talk to the plants, snip here, put there, nip there, whatever, and kind of do a little basic, easy maintenance, but mostly I'm reconnecting with the plants and getting together with the dirt and, talking to the worms and all that kind of good stuff. So yes, it is re-energizing for me. It's kind of, I think of it as a healing kind of thing after I've been giving all day. It's a way for me to kind of reconnect with everybody that got back in the garden.
That's amazing. So beautiful. It's one of the main reasons why I garden as well. And I think it's sort of intangible. People who've never experienced it probably are a little bit like, what? They think about gardening as like a lot of work sometimes. So it's refreshing to hear that as one of your main reasons.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I would love to hear, so you've been gardening a long time, and I met you about a year ago. And, so can you talk about what your garden was like before we met? Just where were you, just so people get a sense of what was going on. So you're in Colorado.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that are going on in your garden?
Yeah. So Colorado, you put your finger on it right there. Colorado is really hit or miss when it comes to cold, when it comes to wind. I live in between Denver and Boulder, Colorado. So I'm on a high desert, a real arid mountain region. So water is really kind of scarce here. So that's a challenge. And we can have a really beautiful spring, February, March, and then boom, 2 feet of snow, which completely wipes out everybody that's out there in the springtime. So it really is kind of those things. And I think that's one thing that gardening has taught me through the years too, is that, you do your best. If it snows and kills all the peat bugs, all right, well, that's just it this year. So it's kind of, that give and take, let go. You do your best, you plan, put your best plan into play, and then let go, because it may or may not work. But the one thing that Growing Your Own Vegetables and Harvest Club has done for me is in the years past, I would have good years, but just as often I'd have years that were like, not so good. And through what I've learned through Harvest Club and Grow Your Own Vegetables, I've learned about planning, putting things into place, working your plan. That's the biggest thing, working your plan. And also, you've given me some great tips about my space and how I can best maximize my space, as well as I actually got some real paradigm shifts about how I'm using my space. And that's helped a lot. This last year was the best gardening year I've ever had.
Wow. Wow. Can you say more about that? I'm just so curious. when you say that you had a paradigm shift about how you use your space, what do you mean by that when you say that?
Well, I've had these raised beds for a long time. So some of them are heavy duty, I can't move. Some of them I can change the orientation. One of the things I learned was I actually didn't have my beds laid out to the optimum way. So when we first started, I shifted my beds and wow, everything just took off. I was like, duh, kind of thing, as well as looking at the kind of how I'm using my water and how I'm using the plants. So yeah, it's just been very educational for me. I mean, like I said, I've been gardening a really long time, and I read a lot, research a lot, look at different things. But from what I've learned in with you and with the group, it's just, oh yeah, well that makes total sense. Just like some of those things, like, oh yeah, of course. But it's not until you put it into play that it really comes to fruit. So.
Yeah, sometimes those fresh eyes, looking at things through fresh eyes really helps, right?
Yep.
And I'm curious, was that something that you came to grow your own vegetables? Like, did you have a goal in mind when you came to grow your own vegetables, like what you wanted to learn, what you wanted to experience? Was this what you were looking for, or was there something else? I'm just curious.
Oh, I actually stumbled upon you.
Oh.
I don't remember exactly how I first found out about Grow Your Own Vegetables. I saw a picture of you in a Growing a Greener World is a television show I watch all the time.
Oh, Joe Lampel. Yeah, love him.
And there was a picture of you, and I went, who's that lady? And that's how I kind of did a little research, found you, and I thought, well, maybe this would be good. I mean, I'm pretty much a lone gardener, but well, maybe this would be a good way for me to get better at what I'm doing. And wow, it really was. Yeah.
Very cool. And you're somebody who this year, I know that the Harvest Club, the community had an impact on you. I saw you now have an indoor garden too.
Oh yeah, man, I'm microgreening like crazy. Crystal, one of the other folks in our group, really has gone to town with microgreens and sprouts and shoots and all that kind of. It really inspired me. So for the winter time, I think, when was it? It was actually fall. I got some grow lights and tables, and I've been doing regular microgreens downstairs. And I just put in a second unit now. So I do community work here at one of the food banks. I'm not producing quite enough that I can take microgreens to them, but with the second unit, I'm thinking I could do that as well. In the summertime, I was doing weekly deliveries to the produce of them. So I delivered over $800 worth of extra produce to them of the different stuff I was growing. And I don't know, I probably underballed the amount. It was like 20 pounds or so a week that I was doing to them. So yeah, I was really pleased with it. That's another goal I have for this year too, is to not only improve my own health, but bring all my stuff every week, have consistent delivery over to the food bank.
That's incredible. That's incredible. It's such a gift to give to other people. What's so incredible to me about this is that every time I talk to you, you're like, I'm so busy, but at the same time that you're so busy, like you find time to not only grow food for yourself, but you're growing for a bunch of other people, and you're even increasing that goal. So that to me is really cool. Like how do you find the time? How does that?
Yeah, it's so interesting. We have actually chatted about this often, and I do. I have a 40, 50, 60 hour work week, and once you get stuff started and it's going, it's relatively little maintenance that goes along with it, particularly with the microgreens. They're down there doing their thing. Some mornings I'll go down there and go, wow, look at you, how much you've grown, kind of stuff. And with the garden, what I found was once we put the plan in place that I developed, I just had to keep up with it a couple of times a week. I like to spend more time than that, but a couple of times a week doing the maintenance thing, and it pretty much would do its own deal, right? So yeah, you can have a busy schedule and you can still have the benefit of the garden. And you don't have to have a space as big as mine. You can have a small raised bed and do it, but it is completely doable.
Yeah. And I think that people hear that. I think the startup sometimes feels overwhelming when you're on the other side of that. I just got back from a vacation. I was gone for 4 weeks, and the only thing that happened in my garden was somebody watered it. And I came back and everything's still growing, and you just keep on going. Once it's all set up, it's set up. So I think that for people listening, that could be something that might inspire them to get moving, is like, okay, let's just get over that initial thing, right? The initial setup, and then
incremental steps, here's my little small thing I'm going to do. Great. And then once you do that one thing and it's doing well, it's like, woohoo, let's do a little more kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So baby steps work. So yeah, exactly. That's amazing. So I guess I'm curious about the bigger ripple effects. So there's a ripple effect that you're experiencing where your goal is to grow food not only for yourself but for your community. And I'm wondering, in your life, what are some of the other ripple effects that happen as a result of growing food? What else happens in your life as a result?
You mean aside from my neighbors shutting the door and running away when I bring zucchini? Yeah, that's a lesson. Don't plant any more than 2 zucchini plants. One of the big things that growing your own vegetables taught me last year was about feeding the soil. And great lessons about what augmentation I want to do. I've been using this soil for a long time, thinking I'm doing a great job, and I was missing the mark on some of the things that my soil actually needed. So I think that was a huge impact. And there's something about the idea that when I'm making the soil healthier and making my own space on the earth healthier, that there is a ripple effect out into the greater world. I think, this just may be me, but energetically, I think by improving my place on the world, I'm improving things around me. And by sharing what this earth is giving to me, that also improves things around. A little esoteric, maybe a little philosophical, but it's kind of the way I look at what gardening does for me and does for my community and does for the world.
Yeah, I don't think that's too esoteric at all. I think that's probably why a lot of people grow food, or once they start to realize those improvements around them. So that's incredible. I mean, that's why I talk about people who garden as being my heroes, because like you said, you're making that little place a way better place for everybody around. And if we all did that, like, imagine the revolution of all of us little postage stamps, right? Of our little gardens all tied together, changes the world.
Butterflies and the bees and the birds and the little critters that are so happy in my space. And on one of the deliveries over to the food bank, a lady with her 2 children was there, and she saw me bring in all the greens that I was bringing. Man, she was like, and she was speaking Spanish, and I could only pick up every couple of words, but she came over to me and shook my hand and said, I love to get these every time you come. It was like, oh, wow, somebody who really tangibly, I could see was benefiting from what I was doing. That was great. It's very inspiring.
Wow. Amazing. What's your goal this year? You said you had some new goals this year for how much you wanted to grow. So we can, I'd love to share that so that we can help you make that goal happen.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to up the microgreens thing. I'd really like to get into production so that not only am I eating them more regularly, but that I could do something like that. Maybe not every week, but every couple of weeks, doing a microgreens delivery or sprouts or shoots. I haven't quite decided over there. So I want to add that piece. And then I'm expanding my garden. So I'm expanding my garden space. I've already gotten the materials, the fencing, and the new stuff to build 2 new long raised beds, the right dimensions this time. Only 2 feet wide, about 6 or 8 feet long. I haven't decided, and then 2 feet wide so I can get to them easily. And then over a couple weekends ago, when we had some really nice weather here, one thing in December, and it was 60. I went out and I built 2 new raised beds, and I put in 4 new fruit trees.
Wow.
And the wonderful seminar we had recently gave me some great tips for my new fruit. So I've got over 25 fruit trees now on my property. I've got a small property. I'm in the urban. I'm in a suburb. But you can do this, you just have to figure out what you want, what you like, and then figure out how you space it around and make everybody happy.
Yeah. And I want to draw attention to something you said, because it's something that happens a lot in my classes. People come to my classes, and then one of the first things I talk about is how to lay out your beds. And a lot of people have these big, unwieldy, strange sized shapes. And you said something about make it only a couple of feet wide so you can reach it. I wanted to draw attention to that because it's one of the first things in the class. and that changes how people relate to their garden and makes things so much easier. So what's your, I don't know if you want to sum up that lesson for people just so they understand what you meant by that. Yeah.
Oh my God. When I came to you guys first thing, the beds I built back in the early 90s were gargantuan. I mean, they were like 8 feet by 8 feet, like huge, right? So one of the very first things I figured out was we're splitting it, we're changing the orientation, splitting the bed so that I could access it much easier. Yeah. And so everything that I've built since has been at the most 3 feet wide, and so that I can access both sides easily. Because one of the big points you made early on was, to get out there and work the bed without killing your back on a regular basis, was you got to be able to access it from all sides. So yeah, even though those beds that I built way back when, they're not going anywhere, I'm not pulling those puppies up. Yes. I can make it work by changing the orientation of the bed and shrinking them down. Like I have a cute little walkway in between times so I can get to and from, and I have cute little flowers that are growing on either side. So there's always ways to make it work. And anything new I do it based on what I learned in growing Harvest Club and growing your own vegetables. So
yeah. I had a question for you about, we already talked a little bit about this idea of like baby steps. What would you recommend for people who maybe are just getting started and it like, they're like, I want to grow food and it seems a little bit overwhelming. Do you have any piece of advice that you would share with them to get started?
I actually do. I have a great friend who uses a wheelchair. And so this year also on my back porch, I got the other stuff too. I'm building. Well, that's one thing you've done for me. I'm just building like crazy. I'm building some accessible raised beds for her so that when she comes over all the time, she can actually garden right there. So if somebody has just a small space, maybe even just doing a small raised bed where you can raise greens, a little fruit plant, something you like. Here's the other lesson: grow what you like, not just, oh, that looks really cool in the garden catalog. Yeah, I'm not going to eat it, but grow what you like. And so perhaps starting with just a small raised bed, either on your back porch or patio, or in a small sunny space in your back, and then you go from there. Because again, I think it's self-generating. Once you get success in one small thing, your mind, body, and spirit just goes, oh yeah, let's build another one over here. Yeah. As opposed to building a bucket load of things and then not getting to them because you feel so overwhelmed. I know that feeling too.
Yeah, I think that happens to a lot of people in a lot of things in life, but in the garden especially. If you go too big and then it feels like a failure, then you don't want to go there anymore.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And one of my other goals this year is to get the, I started it last year, the drip system. I had limited success because I think I hadn't figured out my grade and all of that. So this year, early, as soon as I can work the ground, I'm going to get out there and start laying in the schema for my drip this year so I can put it in. And one thing I learned in that fruit seminar was I actually don't want to drip my fruit trees. I didn't know that. I was planning to run a long drip out to them. So I was like, well, great, that'll save me pressure because I'm not going to go out to my fruit trees. So yeah, it's like an ongoing process, Stacy. You're always learning.
Awesome. Is there anything else that we missed that you want to share with people about growing in the mountains, about why growing food, about how to make this easier, how to incorporate this into your life? Anything else you want to share?
I know that people have a lot of different challenges where they live, their small microclimates. And what I've learned is you can make it work wherever you are. I've been talking with folks who are up in Canada, folks who are in Australia. You can make it work wherever you are. And the benefits of gardening are so huge, even if it's just a small little plot. I think energetically and spiritually, it's just a wonderful thing to take a small pocket of time out. And I think another big lesson I learned was that if I will just take a small space on a regular basis to devote to gardening, whatever that particular thing is that day, it works. It just starts moving and it just keeps going. So yeah, I'd say wherever you are, plant it.
And there are people in our classes from all over the world. And what always gets me is that somebody in Canada has a lesson for somebody in Denver, and somebody in Denver has a lesson for somebody in Florida. It's amazing to me.
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Karla, for sharing your story. And I hope that a lot of people out there heard it so that, they could get started wherever they are. They could take some baby steps and start to feed themselves and maybe even their community, and definitely helping the planet Earth.
Yay.
Yeah. So thank you, Karla.
You're welcome, Stacy. Grow it.